What's up, champs? Welcome to today's video. My name is Sean Peterson, and in today's video, we have a special guest. I'm super excited for you guys to meet George, all the way from Pennsylvania. He is one of my Amazon Champion students and is absolutely crushing it. And we're going to go over his story and break down some things on how he got to where he's at, what he's currently doing, and his goals in the future. So, George, I appreciate you jumping on. And just briefly introduce yourself, kind of give us like maybe a 30-second background of maybe what you like to do. Like I mentioned, you're in Pennsylvania. Maybe give us some insight on your day job right now that hopefully we can get you to the point where you can quit it, but give us a little bit of background about yourself.
Yeah, sure. Glad to be here, Trevin. Thank you. Yeah, I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, live right outside of Pittsburgh. And I'm currently an IT manager at a law firm here in downtown Pittsburgh, and I enjoy outdoor activities. In fact, I'm going down to West Virginia here over Thanksgiving to do some ATV riding. So hopefully that'll be fun.
Do you do any, when you say outdoors, do you do any fishing, hunting, anything of that, or?
No, not a big hunter or fisherman, just hiking, bike riding. We have an ATV that we ride, a side-by-side that we take, out on trails and stuff like that. So
that's awesome. So I'm super excited to kind of dive into your story. And it's interesting to hear. I don't really know how you got involved with Amazon or how you even learned about it. So I'm excited to kind of hear kind of what got you into Amazon to where you're at currently. So kind of give us a feel for, like, when did you start? When did you know Amazon was a thing? And what was your first kind of initial reaction about hearing about, hey, you can sell products on Amazon?
Yeah, it's weird. I'm probably one of Amazon's favorite customers when it comes to purchasing. My wife always gets on me about getting Amazon deliveries here every day. And, for the last, number of years, I rarely go shopping anymore. I buy everything on Amazon. But incredibly enough, I never actually thought about selling on Amazon. Like the thought never even crossed my mind. And meanwhile, I'm a pretty creative guy. I'm always trying to think of, creative ways to do things and different things to do, but just never even thought of it. And one day I'm just scrolling through TikTok, which is something I rarely even use. I don't even know why I went on TikTok. I think someone sent me something and I went on TikTok and I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. It's literally the first time I ever used TikTok, and I'm scrolling through and there's a bunch of, gurus on there trying to sell things or whatever. And I came across you.
Oh, wow.
And it was just, your quick 2 or 3 minute little blurb about, Amazon FBA. And I was like, wow, that really sounds like it could work, because I always thought, selling online would be really the thing to get into, especially these days, especially after the pandemic. But I just didn't know how to do it. Like, I didn't know where to get supply from. I didn't know how to pick products. I didn't know where, I always thought Amazon is just a marketplace for actual companies. I never thought of like individuals being able to actually just go on Amazon and sell. But I watched your quick little 2-minute TikTok video. I was like, wow, that sounds like it could work. And you sounded like a legitimate, down to earth, honest, trustworthy person and everything. And I was like, this might be something to look into. And I started looking into you and the courses that you offer. And that's how I got started.
That's honestly, that like makes me laugh because a lot of people kind of make fun of me about TikTok and different things. And I'm like, honestly, TikTok has really opened my eyes to a lot of things, not just Amazon. I mean, it's made me money when it comes to crypto, when it comes to stocks. Like it's a good, interesting platform. And it depends on what you engage with. If you start engaging with business content, they'll just shove business content down your throat. And yeah, there are some sketchy, shady people on the platform, but I personally love TikTok. And so it's kind of funny to hear that my video was actually what introduced you to Amazon. And it's interesting because most people that I talk to and most of my students and most people that start selling on Amazon, they kind of have that same kind of aha moment of, man, I shop on Amazon literally 24/7. And then once they realize that you can actually be a seller on Amazon, they're like, they put 2 and 2 together and they're like, why wouldn't I do this? And so that's exactly what happened to me kind of when I started. So that's a really fun story. Everything started with TikTok. So from the time that you watched my TikTok video to then like taking it seriously or pursuing it, what was that time frame? Like how long has that been? And then we'll kind of talk to kind of where you're at currently.
Yeah, so you know, I'm a fairly spontaneous person, and so I don't normally wait and put things off. If I find something that I think I want to do, I do it pretty quickly, and I did. I mean, I bought your course, I think, that night.
Oh,
Is actually when I purchased your course. Yeah, I mean, I did a little looking around
yeah.
at what other people were offering and stuff like that, and there's a ton of offering, you know, a ton of offerings out there. But your course was very reasonably priced, I thought. And I watched some of some other YouTube videos that you had put out there, and the way you explained things was great. And I really didn't even consider any other courses after that. I went to your website and I purchased it.
So that's really awesome. And to be honest, when it comes to selling on Amazon, that character trait that you have of not that analysis of paralysis type thing of overthinking and making it more complicated than it needs to be. And you just kind of were like, hey, let's just go all in without thinking too much about it is probably the best and biggest character trait of being a successful Amazon seller. Because of what I've seen is there's so many people that learn about the opportunity and they want to find every little reason for them to not do it, or for every reason for them to say, oh no, this isn't a good product. And then it ends up 3 years later, they didn't do anything with it. And all they did was end up wasting a bunch of time. And so I really like that you just took action. And what I've seen is the students that I've helped and the people that get the best results are action takers and are willing to put in that work. So that was the beginning of this year, would you say, when you enrolled?
Yep. Yep. It was
So,
January this year.
so when you first launched your first product, what was that time period? How long did it take?
Yeah, so the first product officially launched. The listing went live on Amazon the end of June of this year. So you're talking what, a good 6 months
Uh-huh.
from the time I started watching your course and until I actually had a product, you know, in place and selling.
And a lot of times people are like, oh, 6 months, that's too long. And it's like, hey, let's be honest, like, yeah, 6 months might sound like a long time, but we're talking about a legitimate business. I overheard this statistic of businesses take like on average 3 years before they even become profitable, before they can even start to even see any results. And on this particular business, I mean, it took 6 months to get up. Obviously, you didn't see results right then and there. But for me, that time period is not that long. So if people are watching this and they think that 6 months is too long, then don't start Amazon. That's not for you. What was kind of your mindset going into this? Were you in this to make a quick buck overnight, or did you understand like, hey, this is a little bit bigger than that?
Yeah, I definitely wasn't in it for a quick buck. You made it pretty clear in a lot of the videos and stuff that I watched of you, where you were like, this isn't a get rich quick scheme. You know, it's going to take some work. It's going to take some effort. And I went in there with that mindset. And I wasn't in any big rush. You know, I have a good job. I had money available to invest in this, you know, business, and I wasn't in a rush. I wanted to take my time with it and do it right. So, you know, that was kind of the mindset I went into it with.
Which is awesome. So a few questions. So you learned about it 6 months later, you got your first product up and going. How many products do you have currently? Do you have two?
Two products right now,
Okay.
yes.
And how was that first product? Share kind of your experience. Did it go as planned? Did it go better? Did it go kind of explain that process and kind of because I know that first product is you just got to get that off of your plate and then things get a lot easier. So kind of break that down for us.
Yeah, I actually kind of had a parallel effort with both products almost at the same time. I kind of came across both of them around the same time. and I kind of started pursuing them around the same time. I was getting samples from suppliers of a number of different products before I settled on these two. But when I settled on these two, I kind of was attacking it in parallel. But the first one to actually come in and go live, that was a bit of a risky investment for me just because I wanted to do some customization. I had a catchy brand name that I came up with, and I wanted to get that brand name on the product. I wanted to change the colors up a bit. I put a bonus item in. I put a thank you card in. And so it took some, going back and forth with a supplier. They wanted a 5,000 unit minimum order quantity to do the customization that I wanted. So it was a big investment and it was a big risk because I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know if I was going to be able to sell this or not, but I thought, hey, without risk, there's no reward. I thought, let's do it. I wanted it to be successful. And so I put a lot of time and effort into, designing it, getting it created, and then, getting it up and running on Amazon. I followed your course to a T. When it came to the launch, I really did. All the PPC campaigns that you recommended, I went with Rank Bell. I got your photographer that you recommended. I followed everything to the T. And it was a success from the start. The first day it launched around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. That day I had 8 sales. The next day I had like 15, then 20, and then it just kept going up from there. So it was a success from the beginning.
And that's awesome. So one quick question on that 5,000 units, how much money did you invest on that first product?
Yeah, so it worked out to a $1.90 per unit is what they were charging me, and then I think with shipping costs, I did sea shipping. I think that was another $700 or so. So it was close to a $10,000 investment. I think the total was 9,000 and something is what it worked out to be.
Which honestly, that's a big investment, and yeah, that's scary. But what a lot of times people don't understand, like you mentioned, risk versus the reward. And sometimes you just have to go for it. And if you followed the process to the T, like through my program, and if you do things properly, that should pay off. And what I've seen a lot of people do, and this is probably one of the biggest mistakes, and it really frustrates me, is let's say, George, you invested this $9,000 on this inventory. What I've seen students do is they'll order this product, but then they'll take shortcuts. They'll cut corners, not get professional product images. They won't take the time to rank the product. They won't take the time to optimize the listing. They will take shortcuts because they're like, oh, that's $200 to get professional images, or, oh, that's $500 to spend on PPC. And it's like, dude, you just spent $9,000 on inventory, right? Or even let's say 3,000 or 2,000 on inventory. And you're telling me you're not willing to spend an extra $1,000 to get that product to where it needs to be. And so that's a huge, which I applaud you for, that is just going through the process, trusting the process, and not taking any corners, any shortcuts. And that's what, at the end of the day, the success that you've had is all on you, because you did all the steps and you took action, which is amazing. Other than that, like, little piece of advice, is there another advice that you could give to like new sellers as they're kind of going throughout the process? Anything that kind of comes to your head?
Well, certainly get samples. You stress that in the training to get samples. I got a number of samples for a number of different products, and some of them they were crap.
Yeah.
They looked great on the Alibaba listing. They had little videos, showing them and everything, and you get it, and it's just, they don't work, or they were just, so cheap. And so you definitely get samples. You're going to pay for that. I think they charged me like $40 each supplier to send a sample to me, which I didn't think was bad in the grand scheme of things. But definitely get samples. Definitely, make the investment. If you think that you're going to have to do some customization to differentiate yourself, invest in that customization. The niche that I'm in with this first product is a pretty oversaturated niche, to be honest with you. And there's a lot of products out there that look just like mine did before the customization. So I think if I would have just, did 200 units or 500 units, whatever their minimum order was, without any customization, I wouldn't have been able to compete because I would have looked just like everybody else. So make that investment in if you have to be unique, and I would say that's the key. You got to be different. Of everything that I did, I think the most important thing that I did was I differentiated myself. Because I'm in a very competitive category with this particular product, but I look completely different from everybody else. I got a catchy brand name that I put on it. It's, the colors are different. I mean, I'm very different than everybody else, and I really think that's contributing a lot to the success.
And I couldn't agree with you more. Coming to market with something different, unique, is by far the most important part. I mean, at the end of the day, like, anybody can go take any product, copy it, launch it on Amazon, get a few sales. It might go well, it might go bad. But if you want something long-term and sustainable, that's what you have to do. You have to improve that product. And that's how you essentially destroy your competition, which I talk about over and over and over again. To your other point of samples, I think that is super important as well. And a lot of people are like, I don't want to get a sample because it's $40. And it's like, okay, let's be honest. If you're not willing to spend $40 on a sample, then don't start an Amazon business. So it's also kind of perspective. So it seems like you've gone through all the steps. I mean, you've had a lot of success. I would love to see maybe a screenshot you can kind of show where you're currently at with your sales. So you started January, first product launched June. Here we're at the end of November, basically almost a year later. Where are your sales at currently?
Yeah, so I've got two products running right now. I launched my second product, I think just about a month ago, actually, and it's been a huge success. I said the first category that I got into was pretty competitive. The second category I'm in is maybe one of the most competitive categories on Amazon. And so that was also a big risk. But again, I was different. I customized. I had a catchy brand name that I actually put on the product. I had photos taken, and I think my photos look better than everybody else's. In fact, for my first product, which is really just a cheap piece of plastic, when you get down to it, my photos make it look a lot better than what it actually is, I think, which I don't know if that's good or bad, but
no, that's good. That's what you want to do.
Yeah, that's exactly. You want to get people's attention and get them to click and get them to buy. So what we're looking at right now, this is the total with both products, running, and you can.
So you're at $500 for the day and just shy of $26,000 in the last 30 days. It looks like you had one day where you had a big spike in sales, like almost 1,500. What? How much is that? The one spike in sales? Do you see that?
Yeah, that one spike in sales is about $2,800.
$2,800 in one single day.
Yeah, so, in one day.
And it looks like it's on an upward trend.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was the second product that I launched. It really contributed to that spike that one day. I'm not sure what Amazon did. I mean, I'm still in the honeymoon period with that second product, so they may have put me somewhere. I don't know. In fact, I've been the #1 new release in my category ever since that second product launched on November 1st. And again, it's one of the most competitive categories on Amazon. And so I think that's been helping me too. Like, you get that little badge next to, when you click on the listing, it shows #1, new listing in XYZ category. So yeah, it's been going really well.
That's awesome. I appreciate you sharing that. Just a few little details about that. How's PPC? Like, is PPC profitable? Are you spending a lot? Where are you? And then also, like, how are your profit margins without PPC? Like what was like your profit margin on each of those two products?
Yeah, profit margins on each are about 35%. Which was the minimum,
which is awesome.
that I wanted to shoot for. Yeah. PPC's been tough for me, and I think it's been tough because my products are fairly cheap. I mean, not cheap in quality, but cheap in price.
Uh-huh.
The one sells for $11, the other one sells for $15. And when you're talking about, $2 to $3 in expense, to get the product landed, and then Amazon takes like half of that in fees, you're not left with a whole bunch. You're left with maybe, $4, $5, $6 in profit. And then PPC comes in, and if you're paying almost $1 a click, on some of your PPC campaigns, you basically got to make a sale every 3 or 4 clicks
Hmm.
to be profitable, and that's tough. So my ACOS at first was really high. Right now I'm in maybe the 40% range, 40 to
Which is
50%
awesome.
range with
Yeah.
ACOS, which I don't think is too bad. My second product is actually doing a little better because it's the more expensive one. It's the $15 product as opposed to the 11. So I got a little more leeway there for PPC. But I'm always tweaking it. I'm always adjusting the bids. I'm turning keywords off and on. I'm adding keywords. So I'm in there. I'm on top of it. Pretty frequently. But right now it's kind of an expense for me, I guess. But it attributes for about 30% on my overall sales. So I certainly don't want to turn it off because I know that would impact my ranking. So PPC for me right now is kind of a necessary evil. And I'm hoping that as time goes on, as I get more reviews and stuff like that, I'm hoping PPC will become more profitable for me.
And that's a huge thing for new Amazon sellers to understand is they do get stressed out about PPC. And to be honest, a 40% ACOS on a fairly new product is honestly is really good. So that's one thing that a lot of people don't understand is they're like, oh, I want a 5 or 10% ACOS. And it's like, yeah, you can get that. I mean, if you're selling, let's say $100, $200 product, it's a lot easier to get that. Whereas if you're selling a little bit cheaper product, then it's a little bit more difficult. But where the real money is at, and you mentioned this, is the organic sales. I mean, organic sales are making up 70% of all of your sales. And so that overcompensates for the 30% that you're spending on PPC. And even if that 30% of PPC is like break even, you're still generating a lot of organic sales, which is generating a good profit. So that's one thing for new Amazon sellers to understand. They always get stressed. And so it seems like you're doing everything awesome. I really appreciate you jumping on this call. I think everybody watching this is going to really enjoy it. And so if you guys did, make sure to like the video, subscribe, comment, show some support to George. I mean, he's absolutely crushing it. I'm excited to see where he goes from here. But just to kind of wrap up this video, is there any last maybe something that you want to share kind of along your journey, something that we missed, something that's interesting, or maybe just an insightful tip for anybody, whether it's just life or Amazon related?
Well, in regards to Amazon, go for it. Don't, that you're going to be, it's a risk, right? But you got to take that first step. And if you don't take that first step, then you're never going to know if you were able to be successful or not. And just stay focused, follow the course. I can't stress that enough. Like I said, I followed every single thing you said to do. And I think if I would have skipped any of those steps, it would have been a detriment to how successful the launches were. So follow the steps in the course and just go for it. You got to take a little bit of a risk if you want to have reward. So.
Well, that's awesome. I appreciate that. Tons of good value here. Lots of learning lessons, lots of motivation, inspiration as well from this video. So I just want to say thanks again, George. I'm looking forward to it. Love always having you on the live calls every single week. And that's another fun thing that I've been able to do is on the weekly live calls, actually interact one-on-one with students and really kind of hear their process. And then it's also fun to do interviews like this. So I appreciate your time. I look forward to seeing more success in the future. And again, for those that are watching, please show some love, comment the video, like the video, share this with a friend that needs some motivation, inspiration for starting an Amazon business. This is an amazing success story, and I just want to congratulate you again, and we'll be talking soon.